Here's the other thing. Hang on a minute. Let me put this in first. Here's the other counter argument. If the vanilla game is that bad, don't use it. And don't use the randomizer. Or what you could do, which they actually did this in 19's list, and I actually think this worked okay. I didn't actually start, are you kidding? This game is so dumb. What you could do is do a improved vanilla seed, if it's doable. I don't know if it is. I don't know if that exists. Or I don't know if there's, like, a way that could have been done. I don't know. It just, to be fair, there were a lot of things wrong with 16 that all just added up together. And as soon as I saw the rando, I'm like, wow, for the first time in 7 years, or no, 5 years, I'm sorry. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not going to do a big 20. Like, I was ready for 16. Like, I was like, alright, I'm doing big 20 backlog, I'm gonna catch up on everything. It's like, this is gonna be great. And then the list came out, and I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious? But I have other very strong opinions about big 20 I could get into. About why 16 was bad, in my opinion. Now, if y'all like 16, fine. That's your opinion. I don't want, like I said, I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I'm just trying to offer my opinion. Alright, there we go. Your stream, your take. There you go. Yeah, no, and that's fine. If you like 16, you like 16. I can't... I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you have to dislike it. But... 16 did not feel like... So, okay. They made it a point at one point... Okay, good. They made it a point to be like... Springtime, traditional list. Fall... Viewer's choice, you know, kind of crazy stuff. How dare you be different? I know, right? But 16 did not feel like a traditional Big 20. That being said, 16's list was still better than 17's by a long shot. 17, I'm sorry, Lack Attack, if you're lurking, but, like, 17's list was awful. But part of that, now, it's not all staff's fault. They did what they could, but it's because people, as soon as you give them the idea of playing anything else besides Castlevania, or Mario, or Mega Man, all of a sudden they just start having a panic attack. Ain't that the truth? Okay, good. There we go. I'm getting better at that. Jackie Chan was actually one of the better games of that list. However, I think that game should have been slot number 9. I think 7 was too early for that game. Just felt weird to do a 20-minute game as your... Like, if it's not like 20's list where, you know, we had a 20-minute game as number 3, but that's because most of the games were long. Like, that makes sense if most of your list is long. I just didn't really get why it was game 7. Like, it doesn't have to be that early. It's like in 18's list. Why was Millipede game 6? Put it at 3. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the bathroom break is part of the reason for some of, like, the changes like that, but... I don't know. You can still make a... You can still make the length of the list and everything, and make the first and second half, like, still work. It makes sense. Which is a shame, because then, like, some of the games that were actually, like, underrated, like, sleeper hits, like Funhouse, in my opinion, Wario's Woods, like, those games, like, I would have absolutely raced those, because those were, like, fun games, but the problem is that they were stuck in that list. Yeah, if anybody's wondering why my prolific score is so high for why I run so many games, that's because after 17's list, I was like, okay, well, I highly doubt a lot of these NES games are going, or like, I highly doubt some of these specific games are going to make it into a Big 20. I'll learn them myself. So I guess inadvertently that was my way of protesting. 18's list comes around, I do the multi-game race revenge run. 19 comes around, they actually make a good list. 20 comes around, amazing list. So. To be fair, 18 wasn't that bad in hindsight, it's just, there's a couple of things, if you had just changed those, I probably would have been racing. Like, the main thing, Lolo 3, just make it a simple traditional goal. Don't make it a password goal. And then Battle Kid, I know hindsight's 2020, but like, I would have held off on Battle Kid until 19's list, because 19, perfect way to slot it in. Or 20. It's like, that would have been perfect to slot it in there. But I get it, like, hindsight's 2020, and plus, they didn't know that that was gonna be the theme of 19. I was never against Battle Kid being in again. I was never against that. I just don't think the timing was right. And I would have done something very stupid for Friday the 13th. I might have asked if I could play on the vanilla ROM, and done it that way. I know that loses time, but I would rather lose time and be safe than try to learn the race ROM and have to reset 36 times. And then Dragon Warrior 4, I've been proven wrong like 1,000 times on it. So, and I've played the full game casually. I think Chapter 4 was a better goal for 20's list, but yeah, Chapter 1. If Healy wasn't such a jerk, Chapter 1 could have worked as a goal, but that's exactly the problem. That's exactly the problem. I still would have tried to find something vanilla to work without having to adjust the ROM at all. Like, I would have tried to think of something, but at the very least, I think the way they did it in Big 20 number 20, like, worked okay. That was the only game in Big 20 number 20 where I was, like, where there was any, like, not necessarily confusion, but just, like, you know, I guess we just are kind of stuck doing this because that's just how it works. Come on! This guy's over here dancing. Yeah, I think Big 20 has definitely gotten better within the last year. So if they do a 21st list this year, I'll still have a little bit of caution, but I'm not going to be as worried or as concerned as I was before. Oh my gosh, dude, that was stupid. But I think I've told this story, but maybe some of you weren't here when I told it. It was after 18's list, when after they did the survey, like after they did that survey to get feedback or whatever. And I tried to keep it cool, like, you know, as far as, like, not, like, just lashing out. Because I have read feedback from surveys where people were just straight up, like, basically saying, you know, fuck you, this was the worst thing ever, etc. I was at least trying to, like, make points and be like, hey, this is why I'm not racing. Or it's like, this is what is not working, etc. And Lack Attack actually got in touch with me via Discord, and we talked about that. And, you know, I had to make it a point, like, you know, I'm not trying to personally attack anybody, it's just, you know, there are issues with the race that I think need to be adjusted, and, you know, etc. And the main thing was that it felt like my opinion wasn't being heard, which has been the case before in the past. Like, there were times where it's like I was trying to voice my opinion about something, and it didn't feel like people were actually taking it seriously. But, you know, it actually did feel like my opinion was being taken seriously. So that's why I wasn't, or, you know, that's why, like, again, I was still kind of cautious leading up to 19's reveal. But then I saw 19's list, and I was scared about FF1 randomizer at first, but then they said this is just a vanilla game, but it's improved. And I had never even considered that as a possibility. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So that kind of actually won me over. And plus, you could have used your cartridge if you wanted to, in protest. Because you couldn't have done that in 16's list. If they had done improved vanilla, I would have protested, or I don't know if I would have protested. I would have thought about it at least, and I would have just said, all right, I'll just use my cartridge. But it just wasn't a thing. And if you're wondering why are you so against randomizers, I don't find them interesting at all. Like, there's things in life I don't find interesting. All of my friends in high school played Magic all the time. They would just go to the library every Saturday and just play Magic all day. That is the least interesting thing I can think of, personally. I don't, like, traditional card games I like, but Magic, I'm like, this is not something I care about. It doesn't seem interesting to me. That's just how it is. I probably pissed off every single Magic fan in the world right now by saying that, but to be fair, here's the other thing, too. That was my first game over. Not bad. The more that you egg me on about, hey, you should do this, or, you know, hey, like, try the randomizer, I promise you it's fun. The more you do that, the more I am going to not do it. Can this guy stop jumping around? Oh my god. Like, the more that you continue to, like, push me in that direction, the more I am not going to do it. I don't know. Now, if you're wondering why that is, I'll admit I don't know. It's just a personality trait of mine. But it's when okay, actually I do know why. It's because I feel like I'm not being listened to. I have no interest in this thing. Okay, no problem. Instead, there's people who are just like, but come on, it's so fun. If you think it's fun, fine. Leave me out of it. What's complicated? You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, Sly Cooper games are the best games in the world. Some people don't play them. Some people play them and they think that they're bad. Fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not... And it is also interesting that... What is interesting is that there might be times where I say, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And then, what am I doing? I thought I was doing individual game. Habit. One more stage and then we can split. Alright. But, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. But no, there's been times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm interested in that. And then later on, Like, I need something to do, and people weren't being so, you know, invasive about a certain thing, and I'm like, you know what? Tell me about this. Tell me about it more. Now I'm interested. Or it's like, now I would like to at least try it. One of the first times somebody ever brought up the topic of randomizers to me, they asked if I wanted to play a Zelda 1 seed with them. And at the time, I hadn't even beaten Zelda 1. Or played much of it. Like, I'd played it, but not a whole lot of it. I'm like, come on. Like, what did I just say that I don't have interest in randomizers, and all of a sudden you say, hey, how about we do this together? It's like, no! Were you listening to anything I just said? It would have been one thing if you said, let me know if you want to do a rando and I can show you the ropes. That'd be one thing. Because even if I say no, at least I know who I can go to be like, hey, I changed my mind. Because yes, believe it or not, I change my mind about things. I know that's shocking for some of you to hear, that I can change my mind. Ooh. It's like voodoo. You can actually change your mind about an opinion? No. Oh, that's a game over, I think. No, it's not. Okay, never mind. I was just kidding. Holy crap. Yes, I don't like having decisions made for me. Let me make the decision. And plus, I'll be 29 in 2 months. I'm old enough to make my own decisions. I'm literally legally old enough to make my own decisions. Yo, Juke Ariel, thanks for the raid. I'm in here ranting about, how people sometimes just cannot let something go if you're not interested in something, and they just can't let it go. Obviously, not everybody does that, but some people do. Come on. Exactly. No, you're right. I was not raised on a farm or anything, but I get it. All right, this is on PB pace for Ikari 3 and for the full thing. Alright, that's a PB for Ikari 3 again. And there's the whole thing. 150.41. Alright. I almost threw the whole thing in Balloon Fight, but we saved it. I just went back on my Discord and I realized I misspelled OBS and typed OSB. OSB stands for Online Speed Buddies, which was the first online marathon I ever did back in 2016. That's fun. Anyways, thanks Aaron, thanks Seven, thanks JFred, and thanks Glowstick. Much appreciated. Oriented Strand Board. So what went wrong? Bump and Jump, I still died twice, but we got through it. Pac-Man, I lost a minute. Ice Hockey, I lost a minute or so. I lost a lot of time. Thanks to the GG Arcadia.